Yeah, the wall was on the street. It went down Zimmerstrasse just across over here. It made a little horseshoe exactly where I'm standing now, across over here, through this line of cobblestones here where it says Berlin Mauer on the sign below.
Oh, I'm too old for that shit, man. I want to beat them. I really, really enjoy beating them. But it's my favourite.
And then it went down Zimmerstrasse. The wall, when it went up, it went along district lines, the way that the city planner had planned the districts between Mitte district and Kreuzberg district.
There's nothing like a derby, man.
Sorry, I want to translate him.
Yeah, of course.
Čovjek želi ludo da Hertha uđe u prvu ligu
Da ih
i
razvali.
pobjeđa, neko ti.
These were just city lines, these were administrative lines. They don't really make any sense. They sometimes go through small streets like Zimmerstrasse. They sometimes cut through to the middle of a building or the middle of a backyard.
He is fan of Sarajevo and he has Željezničar city rivals and he wants to Željezničar relegate in the
Go
second
down.
Yeah,
Go
okay.
down.
Oh, you can also enjoy that.
So when the wall went up, it just zigzagged all over the city without any logic to who was living where and what was where, which buildings were each place.
I mean, we had a lot of fun when Hertha got relegated as well. But I miss the games. I love the game. I love the derby.
Can we start?
Yeah, of course. Where do you want me?
Position somewhere here. Maybe on
Standing, sitting?
preferably to sitting.
Yeah, of course. Here?
Let's see. One more.
Football can bring down walls around the world wherever you go.
Berlin is a football city. Berlin is a big, big football city. I think the Euros being here is very important for the city. Berlin hosts a good party. Berlin has always been a party town, and when those two sides meet each other here, it's going to be a fantastic party.
Fans from all countries have a party here. It started with the Scots, who were absolutely fantastic.
Yes, what is Scotland? Yeah, Germany is the greatest.
50 utakmica je odigrano, ostala je još samo jedna, najvažnija, ona koja će odlučiti novog prvaka Europe. Međutim, ovo nije još jedna klasična priča o euru. Ovo je priča o Berlinu, o ulozi fudbala, u rušenju stereotipa i ujedinjenju podijeljenog društva.
Ovo je fascinantan grad, a ova lokacija je definitivno najprepoznatljiviji dio, ne samo Berlina, mogu čak reći zaista i cijele Njemačke. Nekako prva asocijacija kada bilo ko vidi Brandenburšku kapiju je na Njemačku i na dugu istoriju ove zemlje, na moć ove zemlje, ali i također na kulturu jednu veliku.
Bosansko-hercegovački ambasador u Njemačkoj, njegova ekscelencija Damir Arnaut, dočekao nas je na lokaciji koja je jedan od simbola Berlina.
Berlin se jako razlikuje odnosno na ostatak Njemačke. Ovo je daleko najveći grad, ne samo u Njemačkoj, nego i u cijeloj Europi. Kada gledamo znači, samo grad, tu živi oko 4 miliona ljudi i ovaj grad je također istovremeno i jedna od 16 njemačkih saveznih država. I ono što ga posebno odlikuje, odnosno razlikuje od ostalih gradova u Njemačkoj je jedan taj ogroman multikulturni karakter. Ovdje, za razliku od mnogih drugih gradova u Njemačkoj, ćete zaista naći ljude iz cijelog svijeta, uključujući jedan veliki broj ljudi porijeklom iz Bosne i Hercegovine, preko 35.000 i u biti samo Minhen ima više naših građana od Berlina.
Today, 1 out of every 4 Berliners has a nationality that's not German. I myself am a foreigner living in Berlin, and I would consider myself a Berliner. I'm one of the 1 out of every 4. In many ways, this also makes it different than the rest of Germany. In fact, sometimes you might ask, Germans, you ask, well, what about Berlin? They'll say, well, Berlin, you have Germany and you have Berlin. Berlin is its own kind of city, it's its own kind of entity.
Iako nije rođeni Njemac, odgovore na sva pitanja o istoriji Berlina dao nam je vodič Benjamin Elan.
How does this come to be? So Berlin actually has a very long history of being an international city. If you go back into 1685, there's a historical document called the Edict of Potsdam where the leader invited different groups of people to Berlin who were not German, including the 50 richest Jewish families from Vienna were invited here to become the seat of what became the Berlin Jewish community, which was arguably one of the biggest and safest Jewish communities in the world up until 1933, until Hitler came to power. But he also invited the Huguenots, the French Protestants, who were being persecuted in France at the time. So many French people immigrated here, and eventually by the 1700s, 1 out of every 5 Berliners was a French speaker, so it already was international way back when.
Berlin sam po sebi je nevjerojatan grad, ja bih rekao i opasan grad. Ako ćeš izaći u 9 ujutro, možeš izaći u 9 ujutro, možeš izaći i u ponoć. Jel? I stvarno nudi šarenilo svih mogućih kultura i svega. Za mene je to u dobrom dijelu malo previše šarenila.
2 sportska novinara, 2 mentaliteta i pogleda na Berlin. Marko Šapit, južnjak, sa karakterističnim skepticizmom gleda na šarenilo ovog grada, dok glavni urednik Kikera, Njemac Jörg Jakob, s ponosom priča o svojoj prijestolnici.
It's a city which is very multicultural. I would say it's a very young city too, because it's a party zone for a lot of European young agers who are coming in here on weekends to have a good time.
To je ludilo od grada, potpuno to. Ljudi hodaju svakakvi u sred bijela dana i moram priznati da nije neki dojam to ostavilo na mene. Nisam prvi put bio tamo, ali nekako čak još više ovaj put.
It is like one mayor eventually said, what one mayor said at one point, Berlin is poor but sexy. It's a fun place to be. It is a cultural capital in many ways, and it is different culturally than the rest of Germany. It's very open-minded. It is an international city. It is a very artistic city. It is a place that attracts a lot of artists and a lot of culture. Berlin, surprisingly, has a lower GDP than the rest of Germany. This is one of the very few capital cities of a Western country that people are actually poorer in the city than they are in the rest of the country. And the reason has to do with the history, because Berlin for so many years was dependent on outside help throughout the entire Cold War to help support it. By the time that the wall fell, it never properly transitioned all the way into self-support. So it is actually still dependent on taxes that come from the federal government. It is still dependent on federal taxes. As far as the economy is concerned, the main headquarters of the big companies are often out west, and they're in places like Frankfurt or Munich. For instance, Frankfurt is the home of Lufthansa, the main airline. A lot of the finance and the banking is in Hamburg. It's not here. Yeah, so a lot of the money is actually not here in Berlin.
Berlin is the capital of Germany with a very special history. After the Second World War, you know, it was a divided city, and so it's a very special capital compared to other capitals in the world.
Preko noći, zid je u Berlinu stvorio 2 paralelna svijeta u kojima je fudbal bio ono što je Berlincima često najviše trebalo, bijeg od realnosti.
Going back to before the turn of the 20th century, in fact. And I think what differentiates Berlin is that it was never a greatly successful football city in the way that maybe clubs in the Ruhr were, that clubs in Bavaria were. But so throughout history, I think the people of Berlin have always loved football as a distraction. Berlin is a city where so much has happened, be it during wartime, be it during peacetime, be it during the Cold War. Be it under communism, be it under capitalism, the people here have always needed a distraction, and I think football has always given it to them.
the wall went up quite quickly. It went up on August 13th, 1961. The Soviets had given the East Germans permission to build the wall. They spent a couple months planning, and then they put up the wall in just 8 hours. They started at midnight in August 13th, 1961. And over the span of 8 hours, by 8 o'clock in the morning, they'd finished it completely. They completely circled Western Berlin. About 160 kilometers worth of border had been blocked off. And that was guarded by a giant military strip that included guard towers and guard dogs and anti-vehicle barriers and patrols and a sensor wire that could tell if someone was trying to get across. That the final barrier was the wall itself before you could get to the west. Very dangerous, so dangerous that they nicknamed it the Death Strip.
You would only play, so if you're in European competition, so BFC Dynamo, for example, the most successful side in communist East Germany from East Berlin. So they played against Werder Bremen in the European Cup, for example. They played against Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa in the European Cup. So you would meet other Western sides that way. And very occasionally you would have tours. So Union in the 1980s played a couple of sides in Holland, for example. But it was very rare. It was very rare. And if you weren't in European competition, then it didn't happen very often at all. Hertha and Union never played officially against each other until this friendly in 1990. They did not play at all during the Cold War.
In East Germany, the people wanted to open up and reconnect with the West. People were already starting to gather together in protest for the government to try to get them to open up the wall. Now, the government, of course, did not want to do this because this meant that once the wall was down, that would be the end of them. They knew that Germany would reunify and then there would be no more communist government. The East German Politburo, the leaders at the time, they gathered together for a meeting to discuss what to do, and they decided on a stalling tactic. They said, okay, we're going to start allowing visas to allow people to visit from East Germany into West Germany, from East Germany into West Germany. We're going to take off the restrictions. We're just going to allow everybody to do it, but we're not going to make this happen immediately.
Za pad čuvenog Berlinskog zida zaslužan je neupućeni glasnogovornik komunista Günter Schabowski. Greškom je novinarima dao informaciju koja će promijeniti tok istorije.
Now, Günter Schabowski had not been in the meeting in the morning. He didn't completely understand what was supposed to happen. So when he got on live television, he read through the press release. He gets to the end. He tells people that he's going to start issuing visas for people to go back and forth. And the surprised journalists, of course, ask almost immediately, well, when does this go into effect? And Günter Schabowski got confused. He looks over, he sees it does not say on the press release, and not realizing that this was supposed to be a stalling tactic, he just says, well, as far as I can tell, it's supposed to be effective immediately. What happened is what you imagine happened. Everybody sitting at home watching this on television turned off their television sets and their radio sets. They go running for the closest checkpoints. At this point, there are several checkpoints that were allowing for the Westerners to go back and forth, and start demanding to be let through. After a couple hours of this, suddenly thousands of people are gathering at each and every checkpoint. Also on the west side, the Western Berliners are coming, chanting, let them through. Now, the guards at these checkpoints, they're as surprised as everybody else. They have no new orders except to stop people trying to go through. They keep on trying to call up their superior officers, who themselves don't know what to tell them. And finally, by 10 o'clock at night, after there are tens of thousands of people gathering on both sides at every checkpoint, in the north of Berlin, there's a checkpoint called the Bornholmstrasse crossing, where there was a captain called Captain Jäger, who was in charge of that checkpoint. After the 20th time trying to catch his superiors on the phone, he slams the phone down, he turns to his men, he says, guys, they said open up, let's just open up. And they just do that. They open up, they start letting people in one by one. The people run to the other side. They are met with hugs and dances and celebrations. Pretty soon, all the other checkpoints hear about this, and within an hour, they all open up. And just like that, the wall is porous. You can go back and forth. By November 10th, the next morning, people are climbing on top of the wall. They're taking pictures next to it. They're graffitiing it from both sides. And that's it. That's how the wall fell. It went up in one night and came down in one night.
The fall of the wall and reunification in many ways wasn't so financially advantageous to either West Berlin or East Berlin. actually it led to quite a difficult time and a lot of uncertainty for the people of Berlin in the years following the fall of the wall on both sides. From a football perspective, I mean, it's difficult for me to say because I wasn't here, but I think what it gave was the opportunity to play against these clubs that you knew about, but you hadn't played for so long. And I think that goes for West and it goes for East. So you've got these big traditional clubs, whether it's us in the East or whether it's Tennis Borussia or Hertha BSC in the West. I think the opportunity to have these rivalries again was very, very important for a lot of people. So I think the idea of football returning to being normal gave the people a sense of normality in their everyday lives when everything else was so uncertain. So I think it was probably quite important.
Vidite, nekome ko dođe tu na par dana, možda čak i na mjesec dana, vrlo je teško vidjeti. Vrlo je teško znati gdje se u kojem trenutku nalazite na toj bivšoj istočnoj ili zapadnoj strani. Zato što je arhitektura poprilično slična jer je Berlin bio poprilično uništen tokom Drugog svjetskog rata, tako da i na zapadnoj strani imate jako puno tih zgrada koje bi se kod nas nazvale socijalističkom gradnjom, u suštini to je bilo uzrokovano potrebno se brzo nešto izgradi. Tako da u tom nekom arhitektonskom smislu ne možete nikako vidjeti razliku, međutim kad malo duže tu živite, osjeti se onako kad su ljudi starosjedioci, može se tu osjetiti ta kultura, ipak je istočna Njemačka postojala toliko dugo decenija da se to može malo i vidjeti.
I'll give you an anecdote. I have two friends, one who was born in West Germany in the 1980s and one who was born in East Germany in the 1980s. And they were both children when the wall fell. And this question came up while we were sitting around the table, we were having a friendly discussion. And my friend from the West said, yeah, everything was fine afterwards and everything was integrated. It happened quite smoothly. Everything was a smooth transition. You can't really tell a difference. And my friend who was born in the East says, wait, what do you mean? We had such a hard time afterwards. There was such a time of uncertainty. We weren't sure what was happening with the economy. The economy between East and West had to integrate. It was quite shaky. My parents didn't want to have an extra child. That's why I don't have a younger sibling because of this, because it was quite odd. And it was also a weird shock. I remember going to West Berlin for the first time and seeing all these shops, these Western style shops. It was like coming across from a city which was quite boring. There weren't many signs. There wasn't color on the buildings to somewhere that looked like almost an amusement park. There were so many things to be bought. People just quickly bought up whatever they could, magazines, candy wrappers, whatever was exciting. It was just a very odd thing to happen. So there was a couple years, for people on the East, it was a significant change. For the West, maybe less. But then it really depends on who you ask. Yeah?
35 godina nakon pada zida, Berlin je ujedinjen i preporođen. Tek ponegdje kroz grad ostali su podsjetnici na vremena podjele i straha.
Although it's been in the end of the 80s, a long time ago, there's still a feeling there is part of the wall in the people's head. We still get the feeling there's a western part of Germany and the eastern part of Germany. We still feel that because but some people in the eastern part of Germany think they are lacking chances, lacking money, lacking infrastructure and things like that. So there's a wall still in the head of a lot of people, no question about that.
Depends who you ask. If you ask someone from the older generation, people who were here, who lived their lives at a time when the wall was still standing, they might say, yes, we still feel a difference in mentality, a difference in the way that the neighborhoods look in the further east, I'd say. But when you come to the center of the city, more or less it looks relatively the same. You have to point out smaller differences between where the east was and the west. And you can see here, this side is east and this side is west. There's almost no difference. If I didn't say that here's where the border used to stand, you wouldn't really be able to tell at all.
You have a new generation of fans and people still talk about Union being Aussies and Hertha BSC being Westies. And that's still a very important part of the identity of both clubs.
In football, it's easy, you know. We had Hertha BSC Berlin, who actually Western Berlin team, and now we have Union playing Europa League, playing Conference League, Europa League, not Champions League, performed very well, and a lot of people like the structure and the culture of this football team, which is obviously a team from the eastern part of Germany, eastern part of Berlin. So that's a good example for how you can bring down walls, although there has been a wall for much too long time.
Kako će izgledati? Ko je? Jes neki naš? Nisi naš? Hej, koji je ovaj? Ovo je put koji vodi ka jednom od najinteresantnijih stadiona ne samo u Njemačkoj, nego u cijeloj Europi. Navijači Union Berlina doslovno su ga svojim rukama napravili onakvim kakav je on danas.
So Union have been playing in the Stadion an der Alten Försterei since 1920. This is, in my opinion, the most beautiful stadium in Germany. Now it's got this, it's close to the pitch, it's loud, it's almost all standing, so you have these terraces, they're packed, the volume that comes out of here. But it's not just that, it's the way that the stadium belongs to the fans is unique, in my opinion, not only in German football, but actually in world football. So going back to the end of the 1970s, this stadium was renovated, and the fans themselves, that time in communist East Germany, came along and they helped rebuild the stadium themselves. Then about 16 years ago, this stadium was a wreck. So there was weeds growing through this concrete, there was no roof, and it wasn't good enough. But it was our home. We had no money to rebuild the stadium, and the state didn't want to give us any money. The state, in fact, wanted us to move to a different stadium. So we drew up a plan. And the plan was to rebuild this beautiful, simple, English-style terraced stadium. And the fans themselves came along, over 3,000 fans, dedicated hundreds of thousands of working hours, and they literally rebuilt this stadium themselves. In 2008, 2009, they mixed this concrete, they sunk these crash barriers, they painted it, they literally rebuilt it themselves. I have never seen a story like this in football, and so there is a sense of ownership that they have over this stadium that is pretty unique, and it's wonderful.
Ovaj simpatični Englez, Jacob Sweetman, živi svoj san. U Berlin je došao prije skoro 20 godina. Sasvim slučajno otišao je na utakmicu Uniona i odmah se zaljubio. Danas radi u klubu s kojim je prošao sve, od niželigaških terena do čuvenog Santiago Bernabea.
There's a big difference. So back in the Cold War, when the Berlin Wall was up, for example, actually there was almost like a friendship between Union and Hertha back then. Some of them called themselves Freunde hinter Stacheldraht, means friends behind barbed wire, because Union were in the east and Hertha were in the west. And it meant that the day they played each other again would mean that the Berlin Wall had come down. And so you see old footage and you will see Union fans, and they have Hertha patches sewn onto the back of their jackets, for example. There was a very famous friendly at the Olympiastadion in 1990, not long after the fall of the Berlin Wall, when the two sides played each other for the first time in a very, very long time. So there was this almost friendship between them. But then, as time goes on after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and Union were traditionally always much lower down, and we climbed up and we got to the second division, and Hertha got relegated down from the Bundesliga. So we played each other for the first time in the league back then in the second division. And that starts to build up a rivalry. Then you start playing against each other, and that's how that rivalry starts to develop. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So now you have a generation of fans who see Hertha as being the true city rivals, which wasn't true a generation ago. For example, Union's biggest rivals were from former East Berlin. Now you have this generation, they've never seen Union play that other team. Now they only know of us playing against Hertha. So that rivalry has built and built and built and built up.
No, I think there are rivalries between cities or football clubs in the eastern part of Germany, where Dresden and Rostock, for instance, and we've got some issues there. But of course, you get your local derbies in the western part, like Schalke and Dortmund as well. So there's a rivalry, but there's not too much hate in Berlin, I'd say. We've got signs of hate elsewhere.
I think it's a bit of both. I think in football you will always have people who have that aggressive rivalry. But I think for an awful lot more in the city, they see it as being not a friendly rivalry, but almost like a peaceful rivalry. So you want to beat them, I want to beat them, but I don't hate them, if you understand what I mean. And I think for a lot of people in the city, there's a lot of pride in having two successful football clubs. And they look forward to the time when we can play each other again, when you can go to work and you talk to your Hertha friend and you can laugh at him or he laughs at you, and that I think is very important for the city. It's a bit of a mixture. Certainly it has got a lot sharper, the rivalry, over recent years, certainly.
Union ima 60.000 članova. Karte se rasprodaju čim dospiju u prodaju. Posebna zainteresovanost vladala je za mečeve Lige prvaka, koje je Union morao igrati na Olimpijskom stadionu, stadionu svog rivala Herte. Na toj lokaciji bit će odigrano i finale Evropskog prvenstva.
Olimpijski stadion u Berlinu sagradili su nacisti 1936. godine kako bi cijelom svijetu pokazali svoju moć. Nešto kasnije okupirali su ga Britanci, a od rušenja sačuvali i potpuno renovirali ponosni Berlinci, posramljeni mračnom istorijom njegovih graditelja.
A stadium with a lot of history. Olympic Stadium from 1936. No one is any more proud of those Olympic Games. It's a big stadium where a lot of football matches have been held, athletic European championships, for instance, too, and of course every year the German cup finalists played here. So we call it German Wembley.
Stadion je fenomenalan meni, stvarno je. Nije to ono ko Lusail, da je to oblještavilo zlato, ali ovo je rađeno 36 i kad vidiš da nakon toliko vremena i dalje te stvari stoje i da on, ti kad dođeš na njega, on stvarno ima neka poseban osjećaj. Još ovo ne izgleda izvana toliki, pa shvatiš da je ukopan stvarno impresivno izgleda.
Ovaj Euro nazivaju i prvenstvom umornih zvijezda.
Ova teza koju sam čuo već par puta nekoliko zadnjih dana, da je ovo prvenstvo umornih zvijezda, ja mislim da to ide u dobrome smjeru. Jer stvarno su oni umorni. To je ogroman broj utakmica i gotovo je nevjerojatno da neki igrači poput, evo recimo našeg Guardiola, ovog Akea iz Nizozemske, znači uopće ne govorimo o onim najvećim zvijezdama, jel? Ti vidiš da to nije isti igrač koji je bio prije mjesec dana. Kako? Normalno, to su 60-70 utakmica, to su ogromne brojke, a posebno me strah za ove mlade. Imaš ovog Pedrija Gavija, ovaj se opet ozlijedio, ovaj mali Jamal, on neće dugo ako oni nastave ovako s njim. On je stvarno dijete koje bi zbilja trebalo ulaziti u 60. minutu. Možda bi čak tada imao veći utjecaj na utakmicu nego ovako, mada igra izvrsno, ali koliko je to ljudi pametno radi. Tako da neće se tu ništa promijeniti, da se ne lažemo, jer sprema se i svjetsko prvenstvo klubova i sve se to povećava, jednostavno toliki novac je unutra, mi to isto znamo i po televizijskim pravima i tako dalje. To je jednostavno smjer u kojemu ide moderni sport općenito, a ne samo nogomet. Jedino je šteta što to stvarno ima utjecaja na ono što je najvažnije, a to je igra sama po sebi.
I think it's a very good European tournament. nobody really could anticipate what was coming. And I think there are much more positives than negatives around this tournament. First of all, the football is quite good and entertaining.
Smiju li male reprezentacije sanjati svoj fudbalski san?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen this development over the years. This time, Georgia, for instance, first time ever playing a tournament like this. They played a really good football. Slovenia were good as well. A bit unlucky against England. Yeah, and I think it's not a new experience to see small countries playing good football, because every country has improved, has its own good players who are playing in bigger European leagues. So it doesn't come by surprise, but of course it's always nice to see, for instance, Slovenia, Georgia, how they can be competitive.
Kažu da vrijeme liječi sve rane, ali nekada to jednostavno nije tačno. Neki godinama nose svoj bol i frustraciju. Nekom penal, nekom ofsajd, ali život je to. Uvijek, nažalost, malo fali.
Pa, nažalost, malo nam je falilo, ona utakmica protiv Ukrajine je mogla i završiti u našu korist. Mi imamo strahovito velike talente, to je uvijek tako bilo. Bosna, košarkaški klub je bio prvak Europe, ponajviše radi toga što se u te talente jako puno ulagalo. Znači, mi smo imali prije svega jednu jaku industriju u Bosni i Hercegovini, u Sarajevu konkretno, i Energo Invest je u suštini finansirao taj klub, finansirao igrače, finansirao njihove treninge i tako dalje. Tako da je to jedan recept za uspjeh koji se ovdje primjenjuje, ali u jednom drugom kapitalističkom okružju. Tako da je to nešto što je definitivno neophodno, ulaganje u sport. Evo, imamo Lanu Pudak koja još uvijek nema bazen u svom gradu u kojem može trenirati, a to je nešto što je osnovno. Dakle, to je recept, nije nimalo komplikovano.
Što se tiče organizacije, ništa nama ne nedostaje, sve je u redu. Ja cijelo vrijeme putujem autom, znači malo negdje možda zastaneš, ali sve se stigne na vrijeme, ima uvijek stvari koje se mogu popraviti, iako evo, usporedno sa Katarom, uz dužno poštovanje svima, Katar ih je pojeo na tom polju organizacije, kao što je bilo recimo i u Rusiji, ali to su drugačiji sistemi, to su državni projekti. Ovdje ti imaš Leipzig gdje vidiš da na tom stadionu nije uloženo skoro ništa. Imaju 4 utakmice, znači što manje uloži, što više vrati natrag i to je to. I to je, mislim, to je Njemačka je takva. Računica je jasna, mora biti plus na kraju, u minusu oni sigurno neće završiti.
I think the Euros being here is very important for the city in terms of attracting people to the city, in terms of the city being able to show itself to the rest of the world. I think that's incredibly important. I think for the football fans of the city, I'm not sure how big a role it plays for your everyday fans, but in terms of Berlin itself, when you look at the huge Turkish population, for example, here, to see Turkey playing in parts of West Berlin, in Kreuzberg, for example, is incredible. You get this atmosphere on the streets.
I think it's not so very important for Berlin, but it's very important for Germany, because as I tried to mention before, the mood in Germany wasn't at its best, political-wise, but especially with the view on football. And there's much more togetherness now. Although there are still problems in the country, and we've got problems with anti-democratic parties like AfD, for instance. And of course, we've got the same energy crisis, financial crisis every other country has had in recent months. So yeah, it helped a lot to create a special atmosphere, to have a party, to create togetherness, and hopefully it will last longer than till the final whistle of this tournament.
Most Germans at this point feel that they're just one nation, one people, very much. Yes, you can point out economic differences. Yes, you can point out sometimes political differences. But overall, the differences have become a lot smaller than they were back in the day.
Njemačka je zaista možda najuspješniji primjer zemlje koja se jako efikasno obračunala sa svojom prošlošću, zaista mračnom prošlošću i koja to nastavlja raditi svakodnevno. Kroz obrazovanje u školama, od osnovnih škola do fakulteta i tako dalje, ali i diskurs u samom društvu, jasno ograđivanje od nacističkih zločina, stalna edukacija djece, stalne posjete nacističkim koncentracionim logorima upravo s ciljem da se to nikada, ti zločini nikad ne zaborave, a isto tako da se nikada ne ponove. Tako da mnoge zemlje bi mogle jako puno naučiti od Savezne Republike Njemačke kada je u pitanju to obračunavanje sa mračnom prošlošću, a to je jedan eksperiment koji je poprilično uspješan u ovoj zemlji, ali ono što je zaista bitno napomenuti je da je to eksperiment koji nikad nije prestao, znači to još uvijek traje, svakodnevno je to poticanje da su to bili zločin koji se ne smije više nikad ponoviti. Pa vidite, mislim, ono što je fascinantno i to je ta ideja Evropske unije koja mene strahovito privlači i ja zaista želim da što prije doživim dan da Bosna i Hercegovina bude članica Evropske unije. Dakle, do prije nekih 30 godina ovdje iza nas je bio zid, ovdje gdje mi stojimo doslovno su bili ruski tenkovi, ježevi, kućice posmatračke i tako dalje i nije se moglo prijeći iz jednog dijela Berlina u drugi bez velikih peripetija. A sada doslovno možete od Lisabona do Helsinkija putovati bez da jednom pokažete ličnu kartu, pasoš vam naravno ne treba ako ste građan Evropske unije, bez da jednom promijenite novac, znači euro važi na cijeloj toj ruti, bez da uđete u roaming i tako dalje i tako dalje. Prije samo 30-ak nekih godina tu su bili fizički zidovi, ali i zidovi u glavama ljudi. Tako da mislim da to ide uzajamno, da rušenjem tih fizičkih zidova da se i razmišljanja promijene, da ljudi odjednom shvate pa vidi ovo je bolje.
Malo je gradova koji su proživjeli toliko teških trenutaka, veličanstveni usponi, katastrofalni padovi. Berlin svoju istoriju ne zaboravlja. Živi uprkos njoj. Tolerantan je, otvoren grad, grad mira. Krenuti dalje ne znači zaboraviti, a pamćenje ne smije biti prepreka da nastavimo sanjati.